information to the special counsel.
Russia's got to be good because I always forget my Facebook password, and it never lets me in. But somehow Vladimir Putin's figured that out. Aaron Katursky following this Mark Zuckerberg Facebook story. Good morning, Aaron Katursky.
Those topless Putin photos of him riding the horse. When he posts those, I love those. Or at the hockey, that's like good stuff.
How much hot water is Facebook in over all this?
Well, some. Look, they'd resisted for a few weeks now in turning over the ads that the company said it found that were bought and paid for and created by Russian agents seeking to influence the election. And now Facebook says, oh, well, we will turn them over to you, and changed its tune a little bit after weeks of pressure from Congress and members of the public who were really curious about what Facebook had and what they found. And they found more than $100,000 worth of advertising, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not akin to television or radio advertising. And it found that millions of eyes were on these ads that were created by Russians, purportedly by Americans, but they found like 500 fake accounts. And it wasn't just, these ads. It was just these seemingly innocuous posts by a dad in Pennsylvania who turned out the photo was from a guy in Brazil. And they, this just was all created out of thin air to either in favor of Donald Trump, against Hillary Clinton, or about some hot-button issue.
So when you say, and this is why Facebook is so confusing, was it ads? Or was
some of it? A lot of it was ads. There was $100,000 in ads.
Right.
But then, of course, there's the other stuff, just the fake accounts.
Right. And then sort of posts, innocuous posts from random people who said something bad about Hillary, good about Donald Trump.
Something like that,
yeah.
Right?
Were they all? Do we have any idea? Were there any positive for Hillary or anybody else, or was it all Trump versus Hillary?
I haven't seen a full accounting. Facebook didn't disclose it all,
yeah.
But they've turned it all over now to the special counsel, to the congressional investigators, and crucially said that they would now verify who was paying for the ads, and while they wouldn't necessarily disclose everything to the public about the nature of the ad, they would at least make it so that you could see who was paying for it. And that could be a bit of a game changer. I mean, on one hand, it could curtail their ad revenue. $100,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but Facebook is basically self-service. You have a Facebook account and a credit card, you can make an ad. And the other thing that it does is it makes plain that the Russians were interfering in the election. Not that many people had doubts, but
right.
President Trump, for example, this morning still called it a Russia hoax. So he still needs some convincing.
The other thing, too, forget Russia just for a second, just in terms of political advertising, right? ABC News is regulated. Television stations are regulated. KTRS is regulated. We can only take certain money. Campaigns can only spend so much money. You have to ask, this opens up a whole other can of worms, like you have to regulate social media like Facebook.
And members of Congress are now already saying that it may well be time. We talked to Senator Mark Warner, who said that he's asked the Federal Election Commission to consider, what's the tagline? I'm McGraw Millhaven, and I approve this message.
Right.
And so if social media were also required to follow those kinds of regulations, that could go a long way in curtailing the fake ads. It could also really dent the whole, point of the internet, which is just this kind of unfiltered thing. And now some in Congress say there needs to be a filter when it comes to political ads and political spending.
Aaron Katursky, good stuff. Have a good weekend. Thanks for checking in.
You too, McGraw.
Right? I mean, if